Hey guys, I'm making another video about factoring trinomials. When your leading coefficient or your A value is not equal to 1, because I really feel like we're still struggling in this area. I'm grading a lot of assignments and people are just getting a lot of different things wrong. So I wanted to look at some examples together, and I've pulled these directly from assignments that we've given you. So if you look at number 1 here, you have 6x squared plus 12x minus 48. And it is set equal to 0, so that's a good sign. That's the first step that we always need to make sure that our equation is set equal to 0. If it wasn't set equal to 0, you would have to move whatever's over here on this side over to the left. Your next step is that you need to look for a GCF. If you don't know what a GCF is, please email me or come talk to me. Honestly, I've made so many videos at this point, I'm not even sure if I have a GCF video, but you should go look and see. So here we need to look and see if we have a greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is going to be the largest number that evenly divides into each of your coefficients, each of your numbers here. So I'm looking for the largest number that divides into 6, 12, and 48 and doesn't give me a decimal. If you have a graphing calculator or Desmos, Mr. Dietz taught you to take your y equals and just plug in each of your coefficients divided by x, and then to press second plus graph to go to your table. Takes you to the table of values. Okay, for us here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the GCF is 6. All right, so I'm going to factor out a 6. When I pull my 6 outside, I have to use my parentheses here. Okay, and what I do is each of these coefficients, so we have 6, 12, and negative 48. I'm going to divide each of these numbers by 6. 6 goes into 6 one time. You could put a 1 here. I'm just going to write x squared. Okay, 6 goes into 12 2 times. So again, I took this 12 and I divided by 6 to get the 2. And then negative 48 divided by 6 gives us negative 8. All right. The next step in factoring is going to be after you've checked to make sure it equals 0, and then you take out a GCF if one exists. There's not always a GCF. Then you are going to factor like normal, or do the bottoms up method here. Since this is a 1, I'm going to multiply 1 times negative 8. You're always multiplying your A times your C. For us here, it doesn't change anything. Some of you already understand this, but if this is 1, you do not have to do that step. Okay. All right, so now that I've multiplied my A value times my C value, I'm going to find the factors of negative 8. We have 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. And that's it. Those are the only things that multiply to give you 8. 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Now, I've told a few of you this. If C is negative, right, if your C value is negative, that means that the larger factors, by larger factors, I mean these ones over here, the bigger numbers, okay? Your larger factors are going to take the sign of B. So my B value right here, my B value is positive. So my larger factors will take the positive sign and my smaller factors will be negative. Now this only works if C is negative. Okay, I'm going to bring my 6 down. Some people were dropping this 6 off. It was just disappearing as you went down your steps. Okay, and now I can factor it into 2 binomials. What that means is I'm going to put an x, and I'm literally just sticking whatever my factors are here. Okay, so we need numbers that multiply to give us -8 and add to give us a +2. Well, -1 plus 8 gives us 7, and -2 plus 4 gives us 2. All right, so we need a 2. So here you go. Here's your pair right here. All right, these two do not work. So I'm going to stick my -2 and my +4 right here. All right. The next step in bottoms up is you're going to divide each of these numbers by your A value. Now, some people were messing this step up, okay? So the number that you're going to divide by here is the number that you multiplied by, not the GCF. It's going to be the number you multiplied by. We multiplied by 1. So I can divide each of these by 1. And of course, dividing by 1 is not going to do anything, so they're just going to stay the same numbers that you had, okay? And normally we would reduce or simplify, and if you had any leftover denominators, you could pull it up in front, but you don't here. So that is going to be your answer. All right, and now let's do the next problem. So make sure that, like, as I'm doing these, that you're trying to kind of copy this down and follow along. You can, of course, always pause things if you need to, if that's helpful. If you don't practice it yourself, then it's never gonna sink in. You need to do it and get it wrong in some cases in order to learn from your mistakes. Okay, so let's do number 2. Problem number 2 is 2x squared minus 8x plus 6. Okay, of course it is set equal to 0, so that's good. That's our first step. And then here, the next step is factor out a GCF. Your GCF is going to be 2. 2 is the largest number that divides evenly into all of these. Okay, so if I divide all of these numbers by 2, 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into -8, -4 times. And 2 goes into a +6, a +3 times. Okay. Here we multiply 1 by 3. And you just, obviously, it stays 3. And then I'm going to factor, okay? So by factoring, what that means is I'm going to say what numbers are going to multiply to give me a +3. Well, because it's 3, 3 is prime. That means the only numbers that are going to multiply to give you 3 are 1 in itself. There's no other numbers whole numbers you can multiply to give you 3. So a 1 and a 3. All right. They need to multiply to give us a +3, but add to give us a -4. The only ways you can multiply to get a positive number is positive times positive or negative times negative. So if I multiply these, I get +3. If I multiply these, I also get a +3. But when we add them, what do we need? We need to add to get a -4. Well, +1 plus +3, that gives us a +4. That's not what we want. We want a -4. So it's not those. -1 plus -3 equals a -4. These are the factors that we want. And it will always be like that if your C is, I'm sorry, if your C is positive, okay, if you have a positive C, and your b is negative, then you will always factor it into two negative numbers. So I have x minus 1 and x minus 3. So if we're following the bottoms up method here, you're going to divide by what the number you multiplied by, which is 1 in this case. Okay, 1 and a 1. That, of course, does not do anything. It simplifies to be just the way it was, but it never hurts to just do all the steps. Okay. All right, hopefully that was a little bit helpful. I will go ahead and make a few more videos on doing some more bottoms up factoring for more examples for y'all.